So welcome to another episode. Today, I'm really excited to talk with Dave about the power of the dream state. This is something very particular in the Seth material, the way he explains the whole reality of the dream state and how it relates to waking reality. So
it's amazing.
Yeah.
I have to say, this is my favorite topic.
I know.
I love this stuff because it's been so impactful, important, and helpful in a really practical way.
Yeah.
Which I would have never thought was possible when I began kind of this path many years ago.
Yeah.
How about you?
I've really seen you take hold wholeheartedly of the Seth teachings about the dream state and use it to create amazing realities for yourself and to solve things. The way that you teach this, I love, because you really show how if you use our dreaming reality well, it's so effective in problem solving and creation. So for me, I don't know that I took it on in the same way as you have. I've gone through periods with it where I've really utilized it, but I would not say that using it for the level of problem solving and reality creation that you have, you inspire me in this. I'm like, okay, let me watch how Dave does this, because I want to get better at it. I mean, I've used it in a lot of different ways, but I don't feel like I have the same degree of mastery that you have.
Yeah, mastery's that's an interesting word. Well, let me just make a few comments.
Yes, make some comments. Let's tell people, how does Seth even view what dream state, dream self, dream reality
Okay, that's
is?
a good idea. Let me a little backdrop. So in the materials, dreams are mentioned over, I think, 4,000 times. It's immense. And then there's a number of main threads to the tapestry of the Seth material. Dreams is one of them. The human body, or your body, is another one. And there's a few other threads as well. But the dream one, it kind of shocked me when I first started reading it, because my understanding at the time was, dreams, I've had dreams. I've had a couple really exciting dreams, but it was nothing other than, interesting. But the more I've learned and experienced and dived deeper into it, the more I've learned that it is an integral part, a really important part, and a really exciting part of each and every person, not just persons, but animal consciousness. Plants are involved, the spirits of the earth. It's vaster than I ever thought.
Right, because Seth says all consciousness dreams.
Yeah. So, and here's all consciousness dreams.
And everything is conscious.
And everything is conscious, right?
So everything dreams, even your car.
Yeah. in a way,
The atoms in your car are dreaming.
In a way, they are. And we impact the atoms in our car, believe it or not. And there's a really cool part in the materials about how our cars respond to us. They're not just this big chunk of metal. Of course, yes, they are. But there's a consciousness there. And you affect the consciousness. I didn't think we were going to talk about this.
Sorry,
but anyway.
I veered us off topic here.
No, that's cool. But we affect our cars, and our cars affect us, right? And obviously, people think they are their cars. They kind of
identify themselves.
They identify themselves. They like a particular kind. Well, we can come back to that.
Come back. Let's go back to dreams.
Yeah. So the dream state. Let's talk about that. Just a couple things about that. If you're listening to this podcast or watching it, even if you're not, you are already an effective dreamer. You are. There's no doubt. You have to be. What's perhaps not there or missing a little bit is that perhaps you're not recalling or remembering your dreams like you could. And the reason for that is we've been conditioned in this reality, in the the status quo that dreams are important. At most, they might, they have psychological meaning. They're representative. Yeah, that's cool. That's for psychologists. Leave it alone. No, I'm here to say no, and I will politely disagree with any and all psychologists. Happy to debate them at any time and prove to them, really show them that. And here's the exciting bit. We have an influence on our dreams, what we want to have, do, or be, create. We actually, in a very direct way, create from the dream state, from the inside to the outside.
Right. So let's kind of break that down a little bit for people. Definitely those of us who grew up in North America, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and on, the idea is that dreams are, you're just like kind of the mental debris of your waking life. You're just like working stuff out. And if you're into psychology, okay, well, then it's your subconscious. And what Seth is saying is, no, the dream state is its own dimension of reality.
Absolutely.
And your dreaming self is, again, one of the aspects of your total multidimensional identity. And even while you're awake and doing whatever you're doing in your waking reality, your dream self is doing whatever he or she is doing
Absolutely.
in the dreaming reality.
Here's how I came to realize the truth of what you just said. So I'm on an a cross-continent flight, and I was tired, right? And so I started doing the nods, right? And because I was focused on recalling all my dreams at that point, all of them, as much as I could, I nodded back. I start dreaming, and then I wait because like your head goes back and forth. I came out of the dream state. And then, like a minute or two later, I'd go back. And it was like, I'd go back into the dream.
Which was like, continuing on, with or without your
a little
waking
bit later.
awareness.
So it's like a break in a film, like you hop ahead. And I was like, I'm going, what is going on? And I realized from that dream, from that experience, dream state's there all the time.
All the time.
It's all the time.
Right.
And the other part is, when you mention it, but I want to emphasize the importance of it. You, Mikhaila, me, David, everyone else, all the animals, all the creatures, they all exist in that dimension as well. Just like you always exist here, right? You think you do, and at least you always exist there. So that statement that Seth made, it's like you are a multi-dimensional personality, is true. And in that dream state, there's another part of you, the inner self, and actually you actually create those dreams, those experiences, those feelings, those probable futures in the dream state.
Right. So what Seth has described and explained, and what's interesting is that there are quite a number of indigenous traditions that also are saying we're creating our waking reality out of the dream state. So we're all connected. Like there's a sort of inner dream mass communication system, right? So everything is connected there.
Absolutely.
We're having our own individual personal dreams, but also the dreams with the people in our lives, and then larger mass events. We're all involved in creating that. We're all aware of what's going on. So what he says is that the dream state is this kind of level or dimension of reality that is sort of like the pre-staging area for physical life. And now that I've been inspired by Dave to be using dreams more for my waking reality, because I've used them for a lot of other things, but more for my waking reality, I've been becoming more and more aware of how I'm actually rehearsing and trying things out in the dream state. I'll have dreams and then I'll go over it again. Like in my dreams,
You practice.
This is
you were telling me the other
apparently
day.
like I'm rehearsing. Like, okay, let's try that again.
You are.
Let's rewind and do it again. and or do it this way or do it that way. So it's actually, I know this could be very challenging for people to accept, but that dreams are valid, they're significant, they're meaningful, they're purposeful, they're highly creative, and your inner self is the mass, or what I was saw, the executive producer of your dreams is, and these other levels of yourself are like the writer, the director, and you're actually trying out different probable events.
It's true. And, you don't have to, look, it's funny because I was on the other side of this. It's like, dreams? Really?
Bullshit.
Yeah, I call bullshit on that. Then I thought, but as I read through the material, I was encouraged to start to do this. And, so I have a dose of skepticism, like, really? And so I decided that the way to approach the material for me was, it's okay to be a skeptic. But I decided that the only way through this was try stuff out.
Right.
Be my own experimenter, be my own little scientist, and try stuff to see, is it valid? Does it work? Because some of the claims, like some of the stuff I just said, I know how crazy that sounds. And yet I've grown to come to the place where the dream state, I don't prefer it. It's not like that. It's kind of like it's like I own more territory now.
Right.
And also it's like, when they say, oh, so, there's a fire in your house, what would you take? What's the most valuable stuff? And people often say, oh, I'll take my photographs, all that stuff. Well, so I've got, I don't know, 30, 40 dream journals, however many.
That's what you would take?
They're some of my most valuable possessions because they're the same as photographs.
Right.
Because you're documenting your own experience
Your own
that
journey.
you created.
Yeah.
Just like in, waking normal reality.
Well, I want to comment on a couple of things you said that I really want to highlight for our listeners, because as the leaders of the Seth Center, where we're directing everything is really encouraging people, be an adventurer, an explorer, focus on self-discovery, experiment, try things out, because a lot of what is in the Seth material and what we're helping people understand, you cannot just grasp this with the rational conscious mind. You have got to use more of your total capacity to understand, to sense, to know. You have to do it experientially. The only way that you're really going to prove this to yourself is experientially. And one of the things that I would say with working with dreams is, first of all, everybody dreams. And everybody has at one point in another, at one time or another in their life, had a very significant dream that was very meaningful to them. Many people will meet with loved ones who have died, things like that. So there is, or had prophetic dreams. I mean, there's so many different like the dream state is as varied or more varied than the waking state. And for myself, I'm thinking now, even though I actually have used Seth's teachings in very practical ways, like to solve conflicts with people, where I've set the intent to, I had an issue with a landlord many years ago, and I set the intent to meet in the dream state. And I didn't even remember the dream, but I woke up in the morning thinking, all right, I think this is going to work out. And not less than an hour later, he called, he said, he came around, he said, let's work this out. We came to a mutually satisfactory, where nobody felt bad about it. Everybody felt good. We came to an agreement, solved it instantly. It was all good and parted without any hard feelings.
Great example.
And like that, and it was very troubling situation, and it was really problematic, and it was solved very quickly. So that's one example of how you can use the dream state
that's so
in a
perfect.
practical way.
And in fact, it leads into, if you want to try this, we've all got challenges. I know Mikhaila looks perfect, but she has her challenges. I know I've got mine.
Oh,
it's like they're never going away. Like they just change, right?
Shall we list them? No, I'm
We
not
don't
going
have
to list
enough
my
paper.
challenges.
Like, at any rate, so what you can do, it's a simple experiment to try. Whatever, pick a challenge that you're trying to that you're working on, right? In the waking state. Before you go to sleep, you just lay the problem out as clearly as you can. It's like, and I've got this problem, bada bada bada, and then you go, and I would like to work this through so that in the morning when I wake up, I'm very clear on what to do or what action to take, or that it's resolved in the dream state. And I would like to remember that dream, and I will record it. So it's a very simple suggestion, and it's one that you can use often. You can even say to yourself, if you already do that, it's like every night before I sleep, I will pick 3 of the most outstanding problems or challenges that I have, and I would like to work on those tonight in my dream state and resolve or solve them.
Yeah, love that. I'm thinking of like other things like that. I've definitely there was one example. It was just like flew out of my head because then I got all absorbed listening to you. Where I have had in my 20s, this was a lot. I was doing so much dream work in my 20s. I was going to classes in the dream state. And this is a very common thing. A lot of people, you actually are doing, like, just how you're doing stuff in waking life, you do stuff in the dream state.
You're in training,
right?
by the way.
So I would have these, and they were spiritual development classes. They were classes on how to use the energy of your creative energy of your psyche, of thought, mind, emotion, or understanding more the nature of reality. So I was often going to class.
Did you see your classmates in there?
Oh yeah.
And teachers and so forth?
Yeah. And it wasn't like in a schoolroom setting, it was more like small, like circles,
Okay.
and like there was one that was like I would, for some reason, why I don't know, I would go to training sessions in something that looked like Himalaya caves and monks, and then I had other training sessions that were in the Andes and up in some hidden mountain thing where I've never been either places in physical life.
Yeah, right, cool.
A lot of things like that.
Well, let's talk about
Healing.
yeah, I was just
There we go.
Stop
Telepathy
it.
again.
damn it. All right, what was I going to say next? No, so Mikhaila's anticipated, of course.
Sorry, Dave.
That's
sorry,
okay.
not
no,
sorry.
You're not. I know you're not.
Sorry,
That's all
not
right.
sorry.
So there's many functional and other kinds of non-functional areas that dreams help us with. So it can be, like Mikhaila just said, therapeutic or healing dreams. We can touch on that at some point. But a big piece of dreams is literally about having fun and leisure and enjoyment,
Pleasure.
and value fulfillment, and providing pleasure. Like, how many times have you gone to sleep, troubled, and then you wake up in the morning, it's like, I feel pretty good today. Like, that's nice. And it's like, and many people, they never question what happened, but actually a lot happened that you did for yourself.
Right, because in the dream state, you're not so stuck in the identity of whatever your waking personality is and your whole storyline of who you are and how the world works. Like, so it's a lot more open for your inner self and other portions of yourself to give help and guidance and uplifting. And right,
your inner self is there, is the director and creator of the dream state. It knows your past, it knows your present, it knows your future.
And all your purposes and possibilities and
all that.
And talents.
And it knows the probable realities that you could create for yourself.
Right.
And it helps you create these dreams, which you are either watching or you're involved with as one of the actors. So in the roles in which, and it brings all the players together. It dives into your past and brings things up that you know about. It brings also aspects of your future, which it knows you will probably experience. So past, present, and future exist all at once in the dream state, but those characters, symbols, events are all kind of pulled together. And you can, as you start to record your dreams and work with them a little bit, play with them, really, you'll start to go, whoa. And not only that, but also what happens in the dream state, which is really important, really cool, pay attention, is
you at home, listen
yeah,
up.
you at home and me at here, and you at home, listen up. It gives you it sets in front of you not only your current situation or the problem or the challenge, but it also shows you potential solutions, and it works you through. So you're not just left out in the world abandoned. No, you're actually given the means to work through all this stuff.
You know, it's so funny as we're having this conversation, and I'm feeling like how I set this up of oh, you know, I don't use the dream state as well as you do for practical creation problem solving. I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? So you know what I just had a memory of?
A dream.
A series of dreams. I had a memory of a series of dreams where years ago, again, in my 20s, we were going to go skiing. We were living in New York City, and we were going to go like with some friends skiing up in like, I don't know, northern New England. And I had never been skiing before, really, like maybe once. I was like, oh, I want to kind of see if I can get good at skiing. And so I had watched some stuff on TV. This was before YouTube, but I watched something or looked at something, and I started having a series of dreams of skiing. And in the dreams, I was again rehearsing skiing. And I was practicing skiing, and I was being given like some, okay, here's how it feels. Here's what you do. Here's how your body feels. And I was given in the dreams, I was having this sense of the exhilaration and fun of downhill skiing.
Oh, cool.
And then when we actually got up there, I was able to, from a, no experience really at all, be able to go down intermediate slopes within 2 days.
That's amazing.
Because I had practiced it.
Was it East Burke, Vermont, by any chance?
Was someplace in Vermont, but I don't remember where.
Northeast Kingdom, just saying.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, so those
right?
kind of...
So like you could get good at a sport.
And we do, you can learn, you can increase your ability to learn. Like you don't just learn by opening a book or going to a class. You actually learn a lot within the dream state. So things like that's a great example, a physical skill, but you can learn and communicate with people all over the world. And then you go live it out.
Right.
So every day you live it out. Like, you create probable experiences in the dream state, and then you go live your day. And then, but you actually, and the reason for that is so that you can see how your creation of reality is going. And what we've talked about before is it's a check against your beliefs and your ideas and your ability to create those. Right, you get that
feedback system.
You get the feedback.
If you don't get the feedback,
how would you know?
You have no idea. One of the things we haven't yet talked about is the topic of lucid dreaming, which is basically becoming aware that you're dreaming in the dream state. And one of our core faculty, Robert Wagner, is a world-renowned expert in lucid dreaming. And as we're filming this, we have the Dream It Real course is going on. And I was listening in on one of his classes, and he was saying something about lucid dreaming, lucid dream state, like what is the practical value of it, that I loved so much. Because what he was saying is that when you are conscious in the dream state and in lucid dreaming, and you witness that whatever your thought or emotion is kind of instantly manifests in the dream state. So if you think, oh, I'd love to be by the beach, then next instant you're by the beach.
Yep.
What he was saying, one of the most valuable things about that developing your capacity for lucid dreaming is that if you see that your thought and emotion and imagination is creating the experience in the dream state, then you realize, wait, it's the same for the waking state. If
Yeah,
I'm
it
doing it
is.
here, I'm doing it there.
It's a slowed down version.
Right. So again,
Waking state
what is the value of that?
Yeah.
The value of that is so that you really come to know that you are the sovereign creative power in your life, that it is coming from the inside out, that you're not a helpless victim, that shit doesn't just happen to you.
Oh, that's sad.
And that you have both the power and the freedom to create something else. So you start to, when you have this understanding experientially, it just changes the whole quality of your life.
Yeah, it changes everything, and in a good way.
Yes.
In a good way. And plus, you didn't mention this, but just to add to what you said, which I totally on board with it, and it really is the truth, fortunately and unfortunately, depending on it. If you want to be a victim, I mean, go ahead. It also, when you come out of a lucid dream, most of the time, unless it's been a kind of a scary experience, you feel so energized. It can last for hours. Like you're just like, wow. And the reason is that you've come face to face with how things really work. And it's pleasing to all portions of yourself. So you're and you're recharging your body with it, your mind. It's very therapeutic in and of itself.
Now, that reminds me of something else that we should talk about. I don't know,
too.
whatever you say, it like triggers something in me, is this, because I was thinking about how like biologically critical it is to dream. Like if you deprive people of sleep in some like kind of torture thing, they will start hallucinating because they have to enter the dream state one way or the other. Now, one of the things that Seth has taught consistently throughout is that part of the big, or let's say, one of the causes of many kinds of problems across the planet is this artificial division between states of consciousness and between waking and sleeping. It's like, the East and the West, the twain shall never meet. Waking reality is real, dreaming reality isn't. Keep them separate. And what Seth has said is no, the more you integrate and open your consciousness across all the dimensions of existence, the better you will feel and do and be. And so he has a whole recommendation of what Dave loves to refer to.
We call it SAS, not ASS. Superior Alternative Sleep Schedule.
So let's talk about that and why it's really worth trying to configure your life around it.
Yeah, okay. So what that refers to, some alternative sleep schedule, or what it means is, most people, let's describe how things kind of work these days. People jump up out of bed, 7, 8 o'clock, wake up, go to work, drink their coffee, keep going. They get this furry feeling. They're kind of tired, middle of the afternoon. They'd love to just lay down. No, they go grab another coffee or a tea or something, and they just charge on through. They get home, it's like, stay awake, and they, they might have a drink, eat dinner, watch TV, and then 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, they nod off and do it again. But what's happening is they've been away from the inner state, from the dream state, from the sleep state for
16 hours.
16 hours. And it's like, Seth describes it as, well, you haven't been sharpening your saw. And what he means is, instead of doing this big arc, he says, dive in and out. So what that means is taking a break during the day, or a couple breaks, a little sleep, little naps, might even take an hour or half an hour or 15 minutes. You can learn to do this. You can learn to nod off quite rapidly. Some people would call it a power nap. There's another state or practice that we use called psychological time. You can use that too, to maybe not quite fall asleep, but it's can be a rest period. And so you can dip in and out of the dream state even during the day.
Right.
And it's really therapeutic. It's like, my experience is it's like having 2 days in one.
Well, what I,
How about for you?
yeah, because, first of all, Seth was talking about how it's not actually even good for the body to be, asleep for, 8 hours or more, that it needs to move. Bodies need to move. They need to circulate, all of that. And so that's like one aspect of it. And the other aspect, again, is if we have this artificial division between waking, sleeping, conscious, unconscious, or it's not really unconscious, it's just a different focus of conscious, it starts setting up a lot of like, being afraid of the dark, being afraid of the quote subconscious, being afraid of anything that is not rational, waking, open-eyed experience of reality. And that this actually, in not so subtle ways, it's very pervasive. It starts setting up these artificial divisions and then fears that are false fears. And it just, it just divides your access to your own capacity.
It does. And in fact, which I've neglected on, and I'm sorry about this, but the way to do it, if you wanted to operationalize this, is you actually need less than 8 hours a day. I know what science says. It's actually, and I've proven it to myself, and others have too. You can split your sleep into 2 segments or even 3. You could split it into a 4-hour block and a 2-hour block, or a 3-hour block and a 3-hour block. And he says 5 or 6 hours is actually plenty if you use suggestion. So the suggestion...
Right. Listen closely, those at home.
So the suggestion is this. It's actually, look, my failures are your benefits, and I'll tell you why. It's like, I feel like the thickest person in the room half the time, but I get there. Like, I'm dogged and determined. And there's actually 2 sections about this. I'll just go back before I go forward. 2 sections, one in Seth Speaks, and one in Nature of Personal Reality. They're kind of on the same thing, but they talk about some different aspects of it. So I want to come back to the suggestion. That was a big piece that I missed. It was like, so I'm trying to do this alternative schedule. And it's like, so I'm waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm like, fuck, I'm so tired. Like, really? Is this real? And then I reread it again for about probably the 5th time. And he goes, with suggestion. And what he means is thick as 2 bricks, as they say in Australia. As I sleep tonight, I'll wake up after 4 hours or 3 hours, whatever you pick. You're going to try this out. And I'll be rested, refreshed, and revitalized. So you make that suggestion to yourself. And I tell you, lo and behold, that suggestion and affectation is really effective.
Right. Well, you think of, I remember a time, again, God, looking back on the 20s, where I was really into these Chinese energy practices called Qigong. And my teacher was like, well, the hour of the lung is the best time to do it. The Qi is like the freshest, the cleanest, and the hour of the lung is 3 to 5 a.m. So for years, I was up no later than 4 a.m. in the morning. And, we would go to bed around midnight, so about 4 hours sleep doing these practices. But it was such the practices were really connecting to inner self, like unifying mind and breath and movement together. And I really didn't need more sleep than that. So now I'm finding that my body is very naturally gravitates toward something like this shorter but multiple sleep sessions. And a lot of people feel like, I've got a problem with insomnia, because they wake up after a few hours,
especially
and
older people.
Yeah, and their body is ready to get up and do something. Their mind is alert, but they're calling this a problem as opposed to actually getting up and doing things at that time.
Yeah, exactly. And they stay in bed, and it's like lie there, like You should get up.
And
Just get up.
often that time when you wake up after, nighttime and initial whatever many hours of sleep can be the most productive, the most creative, the most clear thinking.
Absolutely.
Which also reminds me, we haven't talked about like the thousands and thousands of reports of artists, scientists, writers, musicians getting inspiration in the dream state.
Yeah.
They like a big example was something about like the people who I forget the names, but who like did all that primary work about DNA and the helical pattern. They saw it in the dream state, right? Yeah. So pardon me for
and
not
the guy who
remembering
invented
it.
the sewing needle,
right?
Sewing machine needle. He
Came
dreamt
in a
of
dream.
people throwing spears, and so he came up with the eyelet where you put the thread, right?
Right.
So the overlocker, that was the at any rate. So, and there's dozens of examples. We really should have another podcast in this area,
just on dreams, yeah.
Just on some other things you can do, like suggestions that you can use, practical things that would be of interest to people.
Well, let's talk about the general thing, because again, there's two things. Is one, how to use dream suggestion, dream incubation. And then I also want to save some time is let's talk about dream interpretation. But first, let's do the dream suggestion. So it's very simple, is that you have a clear intention in your mind and make it a short phrase. Like, don't give yourself a paragraph that you have to repeat to yourself, right? So some short statement that has a strong, clear emotional intent. And as you fall asleep, you give yourself a suggestion that includes three things: is one, what you want to accomplish in the dream state; two, that you will remember it when you wake up; and three, that you will record it because it'll slip away as you get into waking state.
You will take perhaps some action
on it.
Or respond to your impulses,
right?
During the day,
right? That you'll receive impulses to action, like that you'll get a nudge. So that it's very simple to do that.
So what? Ask me.
Ask you.
You ask. I'm asking you to ask me.
All right.
Ask me.
About dream interpretation?
No. I don't dream. So ask me what you would. Ask me what I would say to someone.
Okay, so what do you say to somebody who says, I don't dream?
Yeah, thank you.
And or I never remember my dreams.
Yeah, okay. So I talk to people about dreams. They go, I don't dream. No, I never remember it. Well, everyone does dream. Like if the scientists wired you up and as you went to sleep tonight, you almost immediately, you do start to dream. But what is happening here is you're not remembering them. And the simple fact is, we've been conditioned out of believing that dreams are valid or even have any importance. So we need to start with that. And so one thing that you can do to get a start or get back into your dreams is, my dreams are really important. They're really valuable to me. I want to remember my dreams, and I will. And I will remember the most important dream of the night. I will wake up and I will record it in some way. So you can record it on an app like Otter, or Dream Pro, which I use because I'm a Dream Pro. Not really. It's just, that's the name of the app. Anyway, and you'll also capture your snoring too, by the way, and anything else that happens. And then you record it.
Right.
So that's a great place to start. So you can easily start to shift. So you're changing a belief about reality. It's not reality. It's a belief that you have, and that's all you're doing. So
right.
You're shifting that.
And I would add into that, fragments count. Dream fragments count.
Okay.
And no matter, like, because some people would just like, oh, I don't remember the whole dream, so I didn't remember. No, no, it does. Whatever you remember counts. And you may not remember a whole scene. What you might wake up with is a feeling tone, an emotion, a mood, something like that. All of it counts. So don't put artificial barriers and demands and expectations. Oh, if it's not like this, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
No, whatever you bring back matters.
That's perfect. Let me add into what you just said, which is, I'm glad that you did that, is, so here's my dream journal. This this thing. It's got really nice Italian paper.
You're very color coordinated.
Got my cool pen in there. At any rate, but the reason so you go to sleep at night, you got your dream journal right next to you, got your pen loaded, your favorite pen, and it's a good pen, right? Really good. I'm not even going to tell you what my pen is.
I'm coveting your pen.
No, I've not brought it here just for that because I know you'd hijack it. But what you do is, so you wake up and you go, oh yeah, I remember the dream. So you start to write it down. Or what can happen is, wake up, oh, fuck, what was my dream? I don't remember. Here's what you do. Open your dream journal anyway and just start writing. And like what you said, I want to pick up on that. Write down what you're feeling. And if you don't have feelings, just start writing. And it's amazing because you're so close to the dream state. Mm-hmm. Often as you just start to write, you'll start to remember your dreams. It's so cool. I can't tell you how many times this has happened.
Love it.
I've had to take my own advice, but it actually works.
Well, you give yourself good advice, Dave. So we've talked about the importance, the meaningfulness, the purposefulness of the dream state. We've talked about how it's its own valid state of reality that is sort of the pre-staging area for physical life. We've talked about some of the practical applications you can do in your dreams, problem solving, creativity, just creating more pleasure, all of that. We talked about how to do dream incubation, how to use suggestion. Let's go into another one, Dave. Dream interpretation. So, I've got a book. If I dream of a white horse, it means this. What does Seth say about that approach to dream interpretation?
Well, no one can tell you what your dreams mean. And really, the symbols are very personal, and the characters in your dream are very personal. Let me give you an example. This is in waking reality, but this person has been in my dreams. Little Italian lady, she's like 4'9" tall. A pro yoga teacher, right? And so she appears in my dream. And so she has meaning for me. She's a teacher. She's shown me how to do this particular practice, right? And so when she appears, and she has a certain feeling tone, right? She's female, very pretty, all that. She's meaningful. She says meaningful stuff. So when she appears in a dream, or any character for that matter, what are the associations? What do you think of, or what do you feel when that person's in your presence? So it's
very specific to you.
It's very specific to me, and that's the reason that we pick out these symbols. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason we use these characters in our dream. Or it might be a beloved animal, a dog or a cat or whatever from your background. Right. And that has a meaning and a feeling. So we are communicating with ourselves and giving meaning inside our dreams, not just the characters, but the drama itself. So often dreams they can be a 3-part dramatic series, right? The intro, the middle, and then the resolution. And we create those for ourselves so that we can experience it. So interpreting your dreams, it's actually, I know they seem chaotic, and they are. But because you've created them, you actually can start to gain not only insight, but the meaning of what that particular drama is for yourself.
And actually, I would challenge the idea that they're chaotic. They're not chaotic.
No, it seems chaotic.
Seem chaotic, yeah. Even that part, it's a
feeling, but you can get through.
What happens is that, again, because the dream state operates according to different rules of reality, is not the same as waking state.
Yeah.
So it's going to be by association, by emotional connections connotation. And so if you look, like one dream will transform into another, but there is a through line. It's the emotional logic of your own belief systems and attitudes that is happening. So if you track what if you come to understand, okay, what was this dream meaning for me? And then you see what the next dream was that seemed unrelated, you're going to see the through line that your inner being is trying to show you, your inner self is trying to show you. So this is a little bit more getting, deeper, what I would say, skill set and experience in understanding your own dream language. But that is the main thing that I want everybody to take away from this, is that your dream language is your own. Nobody can or should tell you what your dreams mean. You can work with a partner in the, dream
that's really
partners.
good.
It's really better to have people ask you questions so that you start to see your own symbolism. But if you really want to get the juice out of your ongoing dreaming activity and your intention to use it more purposefully, then you will want to spend some time and energy coming to understand.
And it doesn't
your own
take that
language.
long. It really, when you start to get in the flow with it, working with a dream partner or even yourself, even even rereading your dreams for the week or the night before, and just
you'll often come to understand it
you'll
after
get
a couple days
later. You'll get
later.
some associations at what first you didn't understand. It'll come to you. There's something that Seth said in the material, which I really like, which you'll understand why I really like it in just a moment. And it's like, you didn't understand your dream? You're trying to figure it out, trying to rationally figure it out, which I've done for years, tried for years. Don't worry about it. Yourself actually got it. So you don't have to stew about it. It's like, oh, I know that was an important dream. I can't figure out what it means. It's like, take a chill pill.
Yeah.
Like, relax.
And you'll be given other dreams to help you understand it.
Yeah, even
anyway.
if you want to do that.
Yeah.
But part of what you said, which is important too, which is why we're consciously trying to understand it, is we're educating that waking part of our personality, the ego and other portions, about the dream state. And there's lots to learn about that area. So take your time. You can get it if you persevere in a calm yet insistent, almost in a nicely relentless way.
Just consistent commitment. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this episode now, but because dreams are so important in the Seth teachings and Seth material, this is not our first and only episode about it. We will continue to share guidance, experience, interesting conversations about the dream state. So thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll see you again soon.
See you in the dream state.
Seth made it clear. You create your own reality. But knowing that and living it are two very different things. How do you actually shift a belief? How do you create your reality in a world that seems filled with limitations? How do you move from understanding metaphysical concepts to experiencing real change? For the first time, the Seth Center has created a course that brings Seth's most essential teachings on manifestation and reality creation into one clear, practical program. This isn't a course in theory. It's a course in transformation. If you want the most comprehensive course on manifestation we've ever created, check out Create Your Own Reality from the Inside Out. It's on demand and self-paced, with a library of guided practices, a full workbook, and everything you need to understand how manifestation really works, step by step through the lens of the Seth material. You can start today at SethCenter.com or learn more using the link below.